Hello, chat. How's it going? Me and Mike are here. We're getting set up. Should just be a couple
It's
minutes.
true.
Mike is getting the last few questions in, and then we'll get going.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm still pretty sick. Like I feel okay,
Whoa.
but my voice and my face and I gotta
Oh,
use
those
this
things
cough
are always
button.
shitty.
That's true. Good. Thank you for saying it. Yeah. Yeah. Let me bring it up. Make sure we're good. You know what?
Did
Let's
you
just do that.
did you get to watch much of the Overwatch?
No, because there was I was doing like paperwork and stuff and
Whoa.
important
Fun.
stuff. But I did watch some of it. It looked like it was a lot of fun. I did watch
That's
the first before the game started when you were just killing everybody. You were just killing everybody.
Good. I'm glad you saw that.
It was like disturbing. I'm like, oh my god, he's a murderer.
I told you I like Overwatch.
Yeah. All right.
Overwatch is fun. I hope Overwatch 2 is good and not bad, but who knows? It'll probably be good. They probably won't mess it up. I don't
Yeah,
know why I'm
Pablo,
so
I'm not feeling
confident.
too great. Yep. Sorry, everybody. You're just going to deal with it.
You shouldn't make
Yeah.
fun of him being a weakling who gets sick. It's a
Yeah.
sign. It's a
Yes.
sign of him being a bad person.
Yeah, it's the bad genes. Yeah. Bad genes and sin.
Bad Genes and Sin. That's the name of my Metallica cover band.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Da,
All right.
da, da. Da, 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 da. Mike the Naughty. Mike the Naughty. Are people gonna get mad if we talk a little bit about Spartacus at the start of the show? I know it's not Super Nintendo related, everybody, but I assume people want to know. What do you think, chat? Should we talk about Spartacus? You tell me. I assume it would be okay to talk about,
It's
but
not
if
gonna
people
be
don't
fine.
want us to.
It's our goddamn show. Oh, hey, look at that. Court to approve agreement with the EEOC.
What's an EEOC?
The Activision.
Yeah, yeah, that's what Rachel just wrote.
Okay, I've been setting this up, so I missed it. Okay, cool.
I forgive you.
Thank you. You guys are on top of things.
Yeah. Sure, it's nice having Rachel around. Sure, it's
Yes,
great
it is.
getting. I'm glad we just got another writer. I'll tell you what.
Yep, that was the right choice.
That was that choice. That's what we need. You can talk about anything you want, Mikey. Okay, yeah. Compare it to NSO, sure, yeah. I was thinking about that, but part of me's like, that's almost disingenuous. Like, well, what compared to NSO? How is Spartacus? But sure. Well, Jeff, I am now ready. Well,
All right, well now I'm playing it. Now I'm playing a game. So okay, hang on.
Oh wow, you got to get the stream elements going.
Yeah, I got it up. I'm good to go there. Let's see here. Let's test this. Next profile.
What's
Next
going on here?
profile. Oh, we're getting started. How's it going, Christian?
How's it going?
Hello. How you doing? Are you with the sickness?
Yes, I am down with the sickness.
Oh.
He's down with it. Or I think the sickness is down with him, to be honest.
You guys hear that?
I hear
Yes.
Okay,
it.
they can't
I don't
hear
have
it.
my microphone in the right place at all. It's working. Here we
Just
go.
came to say hi.
Hi, Christian.
Hang on, let me just
Cast iron pizza.
properties, music. Is it music? There it goes. Turn it up. Okay, all right.
Okay. Feel better. Have fun.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right. I'll do a countdown. I'll hit record. I will then let you woof woof. I think we'll be good.
Stream elements or not? Whatever the thing is for you read the super chats from.
Yeah. I already said that. Yeah.
Whoa, sorry, Jeff.
Yeah. I'm gonna bite your head off.
You've just given up on writing down what games you're playing in the things. By the way, the last month I've noticed.
That's
you
true.
Do it anywhere.
It's way down there now.
I'm gonna just assume it was Kirby and Forgotten Land.
Yes,
Write it
yes,
in
it
for
was,
you.
yes.
There we go.
All right.
Man, look at all these super chats right. Thank you, guys. All right.
Okay, I think I'm good. You ready?
I am ready.
All right. There's the record button. 5, 4, 3.
Hey, you guys hear me? Start cheering now! Yeah, let's get this over with. Yeah.
woof woof. Hi, I'm Mike Minotti, and I am a Nintendog.
Hi, I'm Jeff Grubb, and I'm a Nintendog.
He's a sick Nintendog, and we are the last of the Nintendogs. Today, Breath of the Wild 2's been delayed. We have got our Kirby in the Forgotten Land impressions, and we've also asked the community what their favorite Kirby game is. Jeff, I would ask you how you're doing, but you're doing bad. I already know that.
I'm doing pretty bad. Yeah, this is it's all coming crashing down. I'm sick. You know what? I'm like on the back end of being sick. Like, it was worse yesterday than the day before, but like I don't know. It was all weekend too, so hopefully by tomorrow I'll be coming fully out of it. But right now it's like still a lot of sneezing, a lot of coughing. My runny nose yesterday was so bad. It was awful. It's much better today, thankfully, so I can actually do this show. Also, I didn't get much sleep because I decided to take a Sudafed at like 7:30 p.m. And Sudafed is what they use in methamphetamine, Mike. So it turns out it keeps you awake.
Yeah, it probably would have been a Benadryl time, huh?
It was a Benadryl time, and I made a mistake. It was a miscalculation, and I paid for it. I was up most of the night, and then thankfully I was up most of the night because then I started getting some messages and DMs and stuff saying, "Oh, that shit's gonna happen in the morning with Spartacus, Jeff." So I'm like, "All right, I'll try to get some sleep." And then my kids woke me up just in time, and I got downstairs and started writing up the news
yeah,
as
you
it
were
was about to
busy
happen.
this morning.
Yeah, well, it was a lot. I was not expecting the Zelda delay, although I was expecting it, like, in general. I wasn't necessarily expecting it this morning.
Not today in a tweet, I
Yes.
guess. A nice video
kind of
tweet.
sucked.
Okay, that was my. I was trying to hit the cough button, but I hit one of the things. I don't know. Can they even hear this? Let me see if they can hear this.
It kind of sucked.
No, they can't even hear it. So only if they can hear it through my mic.
To be clear, he accidentally played a clip of me going, kind of sucks from the Overwatch game night that he clipped.
Yes, the Fall Guys one. Yes, sorry.
It's Fall Guys.
It's
Really
right.
threw me off. Oh, they can hear it.
Okay.
They can hear it.
It's right next to my cough button, and my finger slipped because I'm sick and I don't have good aim right now. It's way
Great.
over
All
there.
right. Yeah, they heard it. All right. Good stuff. Well, Jeff, let's talk a little bit about Spartacus actually before we get into all that Zelda stuff there, because that did come out. You were reporting on this for a while. I think you may have been one of the first people to start leaking stuff about Spartacus, right?
I mean, yeah, Jason Schreier, Bloomberg did a big story about it, and then we didn't get many details for a few weeks, and then I gave all of the details pretty much, except for the exact pricing. But even at the time, I'm like, this is probably placeholder. As far as I understand, this is placeholder pricing, but it seems like it's close. I did not expect it to go above what I said. So at the time, this was January, maybe February, I don't remember. I was like, okay, so there's going to be 3 tiers. They are going to be called Essential, Extra, and Premium. That's all true. Essential is going to be basically just PlayStation Plus. Extra is going to be PlayStation Plus, and then the downloadable games for PS4 and PS5 from PS Now. And then Premium would be all that stuff, and then you get all of the streaming games for PS3, and then you could also download PS1 and PS2 games and PSP.
And PSP, yeah.
Yes, and then you also get game trials. So it's like, okay, that was like the big substantiating or differentiating feature. All that stuff turned out to be the case. The big difference was instead of $16 a month, it's $18 a month. Which, hey, listen, I mean, obviously most people are going to go for the annual, but $120 a year up front is a pretty big ask. Like, that's actually a lot of money. So I don't know how appealing that's going to be.
How much is Xbox Ultimate Game Pass a year? I can't remember.
So there is no annual option. You have to go with the $15 per month. So when you compare it month to month, it's $3 less. But if you go with the annual option for one of these things, it does turn out to be about $60 less per year. $60, yes. That's probably right. Yes.
Right. And then, then NSO Plus is just like, what, $50 per year for the top one now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like we talk about these things like they compete, but they don't really compete, right? It's like if you have these systems, you are not judging it based on like, am I going to get PS Plus or am I going to get Xbox Live or Xbox Game Pass? You are like, am I going to get this to unlock the most from this system I already bought? That is the way people consider these things. And so it's like, they barely really compete. And so like really comparing them like, side by side always doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like, okay, is this a good value for the people that bought this thing? And even in those like circumstances, like even in that light, I'm not exactly thrilled about what this is. This is just, for the most part, PlayStation Plus, PS Now, reshuffled a little bit and renamed, and that's it.
Right, and that seems like kind of the goal here was just to simplify things between those two subscription services into one. And I mean, we heard that they weren't going to be adding the day and date PlayStation
Yeah,
exclusives, and
there
that's
was
not
no rumors ever of that happening, and they pretty much said flat out they wouldn't do that.
right. In fact, even like straight up, I'm surprised how much like kind of talking they gave to that. Right, like Jim Ryan was just straight up saying, "We're not going to do that."
Yes.
Something
Imran
virtuous
Khan,
cycle.
yes, the virtuous cycle.
That sounds like something from Metal Gear Solid, by the way. So I love that. The virtuous
Absolutely. I mean,
cycle.
it basically is because it's corporate speak. It's a popular corporate speak term right now,
Like
which is all
activations and stuff like that.
yeah, activations and learnings, which is all like Metal Gear Solid shit that, of course, Hideo Kojima would be playing on. I'll say I think it was Imran Khan had a really good point on Twitter about like one of the big ways that Sony is defining this thing is on what it isn't, and it isn't going to have day one games like Game Pass, and that is like the headline. That's the takeaway.
Yeah.
This is not that, and it's okay. Then what is it? And when you get to those details, I mean, listen, I'm probably going to get it. This is not like some tragedy. It's just also not that exciting.
I mean, the thing that bothers me the most is the PlayStation 3 games still being cloud streaming. That's pretty awful.
Right.
Right. And, it's like, I get it. PlayStation 3 emulation is harder than PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 emulation. They could also figure it out. We have PlayStation 3 emulation that works on PC, works on Steam Deck. Sony could and should spend time figuring this stuff out.
Yes.
Especially because, maybe one or the other wouldn't be too bad, like no day and date exclusives or PlayStation 3 streaming. Both of them, it's like kind of like, all right.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're getting like the same. I mean, when we say like this is just the old stuff reshuffled, I mean, that really is what it feels like, where everything is the way it worked before. So PS Now, it's not like they're saying PS Now is going to be improved. So it's going to be the same compressed feed of these games. And yeah, these games run at 720p, 30 frames per second on the cloud right now, because that's how they ran on PS3. But, that's one of the things we're not going to get because they're not doing native emulation, is the sort of upgrades you get for basically no extra cost on Xbox. That stuff just works on the Xbox. But but even then, it's like, okay, it's going to be sort of that compressed 720p video that PS Now has, and it's just not very enticing. It feels like, where is the investment in all this stuff? Like, where are they showing me that they are putting the effort into making this stuff better so that it's more exciting than it was before? I don't see it anywhere except for in the branding and the marketing. It just seems like they are repackaging it and trying to sell it based on manufactured excitement rather than doing anything that is actually exciting.
Jeff, to bring things back to it a little bit, what do you think Nintendo thinks about all this? Do you think they think anything about it?
Probably not. And I think that's kind of goes back to what we were talking about, how these things barely actually compete. They are pretty additive, and they compete with like your time more than they compete with each other. And they compete with like, do you think that subscribing to a thing on your game console is going to get you a return on that investment? And Nintendo's slowly building up that case, but Nintendo has a very low bar, right? We don't expect much from them, from any of their internet-related activities at all. So when they do an online service and it has any sort of functionality, we're all like, "Oh, good for you, good for you." It's that meme where it's like, "Oh, my precious, oh, my sweet darling," and it's the Gordon Ramsay, and then he talks to the other one. He's like, "You fucking donkey," and that's how I feel about Sony sometimes, because it's like, you're good at this. Nintendo's not. You're good at this. You fucking donkey. How are you messing this up? So yeah.
I just hope it's a lot of PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PSP games. Like, it better be most of them.
But
it better not be like 10. Like, I mean, I know they gave a number, I know, but I better be really impressed with like the selection and what's going
I want to compare
available.
that number to what is available now on PS Now, because I bet my hunch here is it's going to be not that much more. It's just the stuff that is already playable.
All right, so yeah, that's that. We'll have to wait and see. But the big Nintendo news of the day, though, really, is that Breath of the Wild 2, or the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, has been delayed officially. We had a little video from Nintendo hosted by Numa with his sweet new haircut. Just kind of saying, yeah, we wanted to get the game out this year, but it's coming out in spring 2023 instead. Jeff, we all thought that this game might be delayed, could probably be delayed. A little surprised it actually already happened in this early. It seems like they're really getting ahead of maybe whatever they're going to do around E3 time, so expectations are set in place, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like this frees them up to have an E3 timeframe sort of direct that can focus on other stuff. Absolutely. I mean, the obvious question, Mike, is does this line up with some new hardware? To me, it feels like it doesn't, because maybe they would wait.
I have always thought that yeah, I'm sorry, Jeff. You go out for seconds at a time. I thought you were done talking.
No, I am done talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, I that seems too early to me. Spring next year, basically a year from right now, we're going to have Switch 2s or Switch Pros. I don't really think so. I've always thought that holiday 2023 would be the earliest, more likely spring 2024. Seems early to me again. If anything, I would expect the next Mario game really to be the launch title here.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
yeah, I don't know. I think everybody's going to try to have real interesting reasons for why this was delayed, like that, or because Pokemon's already a thing, or I think it's just delayed because Zelda games are always delayed, and the same reasons why they usually are apply here.
Yeah, it's they get really big ambitions halfway through. Their ambitions get bigger than when they even started out, and every time this happens. And last time it worked out really well with Breath of the Wild. So go for it. I mean, it hasn't steered them wrong really ever. Some of the games are not as exciting as others in the Zelda franchise, but in recent history, it's been very good. So this is fine. Do this thing. We are going to be fine throughout this year. There's a lot of good games coming. When do you think we see this game next? Do you think we see it at E3?
Yeah, I wonder about that. Maybe not, right? Maybe a little bit. I mean, they could give us a name at least if that's the only way you can justify showing us something at E3, I suppose, is to finally give us a name. And I think we are do that. I mean, we knew the name for Breath of the Wild at least a good deal, outside of a year before it came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll get a name at E3, but if not that, then no, I don't think so. I just want this has been talked about before, but I wonder what expectations are like for this game now. Because for so long, it's it's just Breath of the Wild 2. Okay, so maybe not a super crazy ambitious sequel. Right. Now I'm kind of expecting a little ambition, Jeff.
Yes, I mean, and they are talking it up that way. They're like, okay, so we're gonna have the same landmass as we did from before, but now you could play in the sky and areas beyond that. And I'm like, what's beyond the sky? Are we going to space, Anuma? What are you talking about? But yeah, they're like, okay, yeah, so it is the same map, but we are making sure there's a ton of new stuff. All right, if you were spending this much time building this stuff out, it better be robust. It better be substantial, and that's kind of the feeling I'm getting. But I think it's probably not at E3. I think they announced it now, the delay, so that excuse me, so that at E3 they can focus on some other stuff. I mean, we talked about this 100 times. The reason you hold on to Twilight Princess and Wind Waker is so you could fill in the gap with the Zelda game this year. I think at E3 we probably hear about those games. They come out in late summer, early fall, and then right around as those games are coming out, maybe the Game Awards you show the big actual trailer for the big blowout, and then maybe have a direct after that for Breath of the Wild 2, and then a few months later it's out. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean that E3 2017 is that right? I forget. The one E3 trailer for Breath of the Wild, the first one, is still kind of legendary. So we're not getting that trailer at this E3 for this game, right? That's for sure. Yes, no. But that's kind of the other question people are asking. Wind Waker or Twilight Princess, that have to be happening this year now, right?
I think so. Yes. I mean, that stuff is been in the works. It's something that they've been getting ready. It's a dual pack for $60. It's not gonna be anything beyond those two games, but yes, sure. I think that's the right move.
All right, Jeff, some other news here. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is the biggest Kirby launch in UK history. We often get these UK sales reports because they do weekly ones before anything else.
Right.
Jeff, is this going to be the best-selling Kirby game ever?
Yes, it is. It's definitely going to be. It's already number 5, right? On the all-time list in the UK, I think. So, yes. Even after 1 week, it's the fastest selling one and already number 5 all time. So, by the end of this month, yeah, I think it's going to be the best-selling Kirby game almost.
I wonder if we're going to see more of these franchises, we kind of been talking about this a bit, like become a bit more ambitious again now because they see that you can get such a bump. Like there was a Switch bump, yes, and Kirby had a Switch game, but then there's like a bump beyond that. We're just doing something a bit more interesting and new. And for a lot of cases, it's a 3D platformer again. So, Donkey Kong, Yoshi, these franchises that haven't had 3D platformers either ever or in a long time. I wonder if those are going to be in the works now instead of just making another Yoshi's Crafted, whatever.
Right. Yes, I think you're onto something there with where it's like this is building out a pattern for Nintendo to follow going forward. I would imagine that this Kirby, I mean, HAL Laboratory is a studio they've worked with for forever. So it's like if you are going to pitch Nintendo a game based on one of these old franchises now, you probably will have better luck saying it's going to be a 3D platformer instead of a 2D game. I think Nintendo sees the potential in that now more than ever.
All right, Jeff. So we know Nintendo is usually pretty strict with fan stuff or their stuff being pirated or whatever. But Nintendo went after somebody who just uploaded scans from the 1996 Super Mario 64 strategy guide. It's the one that has those really nice like isometric layouts of the maps.
Yep.
Yeah, Nintendo had that taken down. This seems like a bit much, doesn't it?
Completely out of print. Hasn't been in print for like decades. Yeah, it's wild. I didn't hear about this until it was taken down, so I'm like scrambling trying to find it for my own evil intent. According to Nintendo, I was never able to get it. Like there was a Dropbox, and that Dropbox like went offline too. So I'm like, Nintendo got him.
How does even Nintendo even know it's something this small? Like, what? Come on, they can't even pretend that they didn't notice, right?
Right, exactly. But it's like those lawyers just justifying their jobs. I mean, they got to keep busy, right? So. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know their KPIs at Nintendo of America or whatever, but it's probably something like, oh yeah, how many things did you get taken off the internet this month? And it's like, well, here's what I did. Like, it's a bummer. I really want one of those. I really want that whole thing. And I would like, if they want, print it again and I'll buy it. But
yeah,
if it's not available to purchase, legally, just let me download it off the internet. Come on.
I mean, if they didn't release it back when they re-released Super Mario 64 recently, it's not like they're going to do it soon.
Exactly. So just and this is not like the trademark thing necessarily. This is copyright, and copyright is rock solid. You do not have to guard your copyright to have the copyright. The copyright is the copyright. It's solid. Trademark, you have to be like, oh, you have to show your willingness to go out and fight for the trademark, or people can argue that it has become like a generic term or something like that. So they don't need to do this. There's nothing compelling them to do this other than it keeps the lawyers busy is the only reason I can actually come up with.
Yes, Mario Party Superstars got an update to version 1.1.1. That's exciting, right?
Yes. Sean, let's set up a game night.
Yeah, well, it's not that exciting. It's mostly just some bug fixes and whatnot.
You know what? I don't care. Still want to play it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I like that game a lot, actually.
It is good. It's hard. It's kind of an awkward game night, though, because it would be like, if you say, Sean set up a game night, where there's me, you, and Sean, and then, like, one other person.
Yeah, that's what I want, basically. Yeah, sorry, everybody.
Sorry, game there. I do like Mario Party, though. It is very fun. And then, Jeff, that Ocarina of Time PC port project is finished, and that's out now. Is that something Nintendo can go after now? Now that I think about it, that might just already be out there. Genie might be out of the bottle on that one.
Yeah,
so
I think
that's
it is.
exciting. So now, there's a whole version of that game that people can work with its source code, and they can mod it. They can do whatever they want. You can do widescreen support, all that fun stuff. You can put Shrek in it. Why not?
Yep, I'm gonna I'll download it for the Steam Deck and play it on there and maybe see how it does with some mods. That's pretty cool. I love that people are out there doing this. It's all sort of backward, reverse engineering is how they're doing this stuff. It's not like they're stealing the source code. They're just breaking it down bit by bit. And this is a cool thing that fan groups are doing. And it does seem like Nintendo would struggle to stop this because I don't think that you could stop people from reverse engineering in a clean room. It seems like that stuff's pretty legal. I'm not an expert on this, but that would be my guess.
Right?
Exactly. Yes, of course not.
Yeah, and it seems like, other Nintendo 64 PC mods are in the works. I think they said GoldenEye, some other things.
Yeah. They might be able to stop the distribution of it. Again, that's still their copyright, but the actual reverse engineering of it is something that they would struggle to stop.
All right, Jeff, that's it for the news. Let's get to some questions here. If you're watching live, you can also send in a super chat for your questions. We got a bunch of those. We'll be reading those in a bit. You can also send in your favorite Kirby game in a super chat, and we'll read that later. If you are watching, don't forget to do a thumbs up. We've got a bunch of you doing that already, so thank you very much. All right, questions time. Turbo Madden says, besides Cuba Troopa Beach, what other legacy Mario Kart courses do you want to see in Mario Kart 8's Booster Course Pass? Personally, I want Waluigi Pinball from Mario Kart DS, and Mike will love this, Daisy Cruiser from Double Dash. I mean, those are like kind of the two of the best courses actually. Like even before the whole Daisy thing became a meme with me, and I thought she was just a bland clone of Peach. I always liked Daisy Cruiser. So yeah, I don't even outside of those and the ones that are in, I'm kind of struggling to even think of one.
I mean, all the Rainbow Roads.
Sure, yeah, just get as many of those in there as possible, I suppose. Dr. Turbo says, Ariana Grande wants to do a collab with a Nintendo character on a new single. Who will she choose and why? I mean, she should choose like one of the Squid sisters, right?
No,
Marina?
she should choose Toad.
Toad.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Sing an Ariana Grande song as Toad. I got it the third try.
Yeah, which songs does she sing?
Yeah, Mike, I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. I'm Ariana Grande! I like to sing!
Oh my god, your porn stash.
All right, sorry. I had to just hit it. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
Dayton says, what is the Nintendo game you have found yourself getting into arguments about the most? Breath of the Wild sure is up there, Jeff. People sure do like to say, actually, I don't like Breath of the Wild. I don't know why I have to say things back sometimes. I don't know
what is wrong with us? Yeah,
like,
I'm
who
broken.
cares? Like, clearly Breath of the Wild is fine. It sold a zillion copies, won a zillion Game of the Year awards. It doesn't need defending, yet I still feel incentivized to. The other one is
because you know what happens is eventually you do win that argument because so many people who have been like, I don't like that, and then they try it a third time and they're like, Actually, it's very good. I'm sorry, it's very good. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me, you know, one thing they did show a little bit more gameplay Breath of the Wild too, and we like the kind of big thing we saw here is that the Master Sword is corrupted, Jeff,
and it's broken in half. Mike, do you think this is like a big fu to people who don't like this degradation?
I hope so.
I hope so
it's
too.
Something like that. Yeah. It's like durability is even more of a system in the game somehow. The other game I get into arguments about is Goldeneye, but that's because that is like the one game I have a slightly spicy take on because I'm not a big fan of it, so I'm not surprised. Casual says, Dear Nintendogs, as someone who's only been a member of the GamesBeat community for 6 months or so, I've been digging the archives a bit. I love watching your tier list videos. Will you be doing more of these? I understand these take time, though. Maybe it could be a Patreon feature. P.S. I finally beat DuckTales for the first time via the Disney Afternoon Collection. How proud are you of me? I'm very proud of you. DuckTales rules. Make sure you play DuckTales, too. Yeah, those were fun. We did those back when the only thing we had every week was Games Beat the Side. Now we do this also, and Jeff has Grubb Snacks, and we do these community game nights. It's a little harder to find time. We'll try to do another one.
We'll fit one in once a month, maybe going down the line, especially as if we get closer and stuff. If I'm living right next to them, we'll do a lot of content like on those days when we can get together and stuff, and maybe that could be one of the things we do.
Once I beat Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I could probably do at least a core Kirby game tier list video.
I would like that. Yeah,
that'd be fun. I know I played all of them. Jeff probably hasn't played all of them, but he can still.
No, but I would like to play a bunch of them, and I was like planning to do that, so I'll go at least play some of a bunch of them.
I'm pretty sure there's not too much debate on what a core Kirby game is. I feel like the one outlier is Kirby's Epic Yarn, which I do not count as a core Kirby game. I don't know if people agree with that or not.
Canvas Curse.
Canvas, not core. I like Canvas Curse a lot. It's not core. Like I mean, we could do a whole nother tier list with the spin-offs because they're also fantastic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So yeah, that could just be a second one. Jumpmat says, what power-up makes Kirby taste the best? I don't know if the power-ups affect his taste. I mean,
I feel like they gotta affect his taste. You don't like change at a molecular level without getting a little bit like more gamey, salty. I don't know.
Maybe the one where he gets like sparky and like if you keep moving him, he powered up some more. He probably tastes like Pop Rocks at that point.
Pop Rocks, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it gets the Pop Rocks thing going on there. Velocity Prime 1 asks, are the enemies in Kirby too cute? Do you feel bad eating them and absorbing their life force? Like, those dogs are pretty darn adorable.
Yeah, the dogs are too cute, actually.
They are cute, and I love is that a lot of times you like kill them when they're just like waiting in line for a ride or something, like completely unaware of your presence, not attacking you. It is always funny, especially in a game like Kirby, how like of course it doesn't address it, but you are like killing these creatures, right? You are ending their existence. They're pretty. I don't know, but that's also part of the weird charm of Kirby. There's always something kind of unsettling about Kirby because he is really cute, but also incredibly powerful.
Yeah, he has a black hole in his mouth, right? Yeah,
it's part of the appeal.
Scary.
Flank the Tank Sinatra Bop. That's from our Overwatch night last night. If you had to slap the shit out of a Nintendo character for talking shit about your wife on live, man, I wonder if this was gonna come. Who would you want to be, and who would make you stay in your chair? Who would make us stay in our chair? Okay. Oh, I see. So who would I want to slap the shit out of for a Nintendo character? It's like the Wario and the Waluigi. I feel like they're obvious choices, but I don't actually want to slap them.
No, I don't either. Yeah, I would be like, that's just Wario and Waluigi. I don't. We probably would be like Mario, because like Mario, you should know better. You're supposed to be a good guy. What's wrong with you?
We're gonna slap Mario, silly.
Yes, I'm gonna slap Mario right in his goddamn face. That's right.
Jeff, that's not cool.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not here to be cool. I'm here to protect the honor of my wife.
How about any one of those like Pokemon rivals since like the second gen that are just actually your best friends? Like that guy from Sword and Shield who's just like your friend. I don't like him. I want to slap him. Yeah. He annoys me. He's too nice. Like, there's no character there except I'm nice and I'm here to encourage you and we're gonna have a Pokemon battle. Oh, I lost. That's okay though. I'm your cheerleader. Like, shut the hell up. Get a personality. Who would you not? I guess it was Donkey Kong. I'm not gonna throw punches. I'll tell you what. Donkey Kong can say whatever he wants to about anybody. I know.
That's right. Rachel says that I'm just going to say that Bayonetta would make you take your seat. She'd make you take several seats. And I'm like, yes, she would, and I would take them.
I would thank Bayonetta for talking trash about my wife.
Yes, exactly.
Bench Turbo JC says, "Hi doggies. Since your dogs, when your owners don't want to use that word, but it's what I could come up with. Go away. Do they lock you two Nintendogs up together or have to separate you two out of fear of fighting each other?" Jeff, do we share a cell? Do we want to reveal this information?
I mean, it's very intimate information, so I don't know. We share a cell, but there's plenty of Nintendogs to make sure that we don't fight and stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it gets a little rowdy, but then we go into solitary confinement, and it gets real weird in there.
Yeah, it gets real weird. Yeah, it's like that's the subcon in Super Mario World, or Super Mario Brothers 2, exactly.
Yes, exactly. One Up versus CPU asks, will Kirby sell more than Metroid Dread? Jeff, I feel like almost certainly it will.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, Metroid Dread's struggling to get the 5, right? And Kirby will get the 5, I think.
Kirby's a family game. I mean, it's a family game on a family system. It's going to sell more.
Dugan asks, why do you think Nintendo sticks to the drip feed approach to releasing their back catalog? Was the Virtual Console that much of a loss for them? Not the Virtual Console was too much of a loss for them, but clearly the strategy here is to make sure that people have something to be excited about every month, while also not having to put that much work into releasing a ton of games, right?
Yep. Yeah, they just want to get the maximum return for the minimum amount of investment, and that's exactly what this is.
Gerber says, have you guys heard anything about the rumors that Reggie Fils-Aimé is soon going to be doing an interview with notorious Xbot Danny Pena? I've not heard about this, Jeff. Exciting stuff, though.
Yeah, so I've heard a little bit about this. It's going to take place at some sort of event called GamesBeat Summit or something like that. So, I don't know. If I were you and I were interested in keeping up with what was happening there, I would definitely check out the event page on GamesBeat, on VentureBeat, and try to see if you can get in on that and watch that live. So, yeah.
We're also having Reggie at our GamesBeat conference coming up next month. Don't forget.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what he's talking about here, Mike.
I stopped listening to you.
I could tell. Yeah, I could tell you went to the Mikey zone. You went to Mikey World.
Well, look, I read a super chat and they used the word we banned, and I was really distracted by that.
Okay, fair enough. Never mind, I get it.
That one got me. I think we only said that that word was banned in relation to me. We meant to do a blanket ban on it, Jeff. Anyways, Octo says, "Hey, beef and cheddar boys." As a Romanian, beef and cheddar boys sounds especially disgusting. Oh, he called us beef and ched boys. Why is beef and cheddar sound especially disgusting as a Romanian, I wonder? But the new Kirby game seems awesome, but it's a kind of a shame it runs at 30 FPS. If the Switch 2 is backwards compatible, it has to, right? Do you think Nintendo will do the work to patch their first-party titles to take advantage of their new hardware? Remaster the games and resell them at $60, maybe go to the paid upgrade path, or just do nothing with them. I'm hoping it's paid upgrade best case scenario, and at worst price remasters or nothing at all. Games like Breath of the Wild and Kirby deserve a 60 FPS on the next generation. Have a great week. Jeff, I assume these games are just going to be backwards compatible and they are going to run just like they did on the old hardware.
Yeah, that's right. There might be some stuff that NVIDIA could do to make these games run faster. Like on the driver level, trick them in the way that like FPS boost works. But more than likely, they're just going to run. They will run the way they run on Switch 2. And in very rare cases, Nintendo might do something. Zelda Breath of the Wild 1 being the prime, like the biggest, most likely example.
If they do one game,
Yes.
right, it'll be. I don't think they're going to give like Kirby a 60 FPS like patch or anything.
No
Sadly.
way.
Octo says, P.S. This is so Octo. P.S. The first building they construct in the Kirby Waddle Village is a cinema, so that means that Mike Minotti should watch more Stanley Tucci movies? ?
Yep.
You know what that reminded me of the free roaming section in Sonic Jam for the Sega Saturn, which was
Yeah, of course.
Of course, because you could run around as Sonic, and it was the first time you could play as him in a 3D game, aside from Sonic 3D Blast, of course. And I loved it because there was like a little movie theater you can go inside just like this, except it had all this weird like Japanese commercials and like intros and clips from some Sonic anime I didn't know existed. It was very good stuff.
Man, I remember this whole early 3D era of Sonic, and just like as a Nintendo fanboy, just being like, "Oh no, are they figuring it out? What are they going to do? This Sonic 3D Blast that's pretty good." And I've gone back and played all these games since. They're all terrible. They're all so bad.
Oh my god, I don't know if I could ever admit Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 are bad. I mean, they're objectively bad in terms of presentation in a lot of cases, but I have so much nostalgia for those games. And Sonic Heroes was where it's just like, okay, this is actually very poorly designed, and it's a broken game and doesn't work well. Next up here from Cringes McBasketball. Hey guys, so Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are a lock for this year then? Yes, they have to be. Come on.
I think so.
Those have to be like late summer games, right?
They want to have one Zelda big release a year. I mean, to me, it's like hard to imagine what else they could have. I mean, and why hold on to them at this point? This is the time to do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Nintendo Bro, does this mean they are officially banking on Pokemon this holiday, or that Breath of the Wild 2 really isn't quite ready yet? Do you think we get the Virtuous Cycle as a bike choice in the new Pokemon? Yes to the latter.
Virtuous Cycle.
Jeff, I don't think this really has that much to do with Pokemon. I think it's just what's going on with Breath of the Wild 2.
Correct. Yes. This is just IG Anuma and his team deciding what's best for the game. This is what's best for the game.
BJ Incoming says, Happy Tuesday, Nintendogs. How glad do you think journalists are generally that they don't have to fight over whether Elden Ring or Breath of the Wild 2 is Game of the Year for 2022? I mean, I don't think any of us really... I know we're all joking about that. I don't know if it really bothers me much. Also, it's like who knows? Maybe Breath of the Wild 2 will be slightly disappointing. I don't know.
It's possible.
It's funny how people are like, oh, it's going to come down to Elden Ring and Starfield now. It's like, we don't know if Starfield's going to be good. Their last game wasn't. You know, and I mean, these things.
I mean, even God of War Ragnarok, if that comes out this year, which we'll see, if that comes out this year, it's like, it's gonna be more of the same. I bet it has a little bit of disappointment baked into it, and that's gonna give the Elden Ring the edge. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look, Elden Ring is going to win some Game of the Year award somewhere. You don't get a 97 Metacritic and all that stuff without winning at least a game award somewhere. Yep. But I mean, as far as the other competitors, who knows? There could be surprises. There could be whatever. But I certainly don't. Not that I don't care, but I don't. It's not like I'm like, that's not the thing I thought of when they did.
Yeah, it's not. That's not an actual concern. But yes, yeah.
Velocity Prime 1 says, are people still underestimating the impact COVID has had on game development?
Yeah, it's so unpredictable. I mean, it feels like everything's gone back to normal here, but then I look at the news and it's like 100,000 cases a day in the UK or some shit like that. And China is completely overrun. And I'm like, oh, is it going to wrap back around to us? And like in 2 weeks, that's going to be us again. How it worked before. it seems very likely impossible that could happen at any moment. And so it's like you think you're going back to normal, then the next thing you know, everyone's back on lockdown, and you try to build processes around hybrid work, and it's like, oh no, everyone's got to go back to home, and it's still very difficult. And then also all the factors of the people that are able to work anywhere now, they can get jobs anywhere and probably get paid more. So you're losing more talent than you were losing before. It's it's a mess. It's difficult, and it has not loosened up. That is not that's still very tight in terms of the labor market.
Yeah, it's not loose at all. It's real tight. Winnie says, follow up on
Wonderful.
GamesBeat's questions. The GamesBeat sorry.
Oh my God, your porn stash.
I'm funny. I can't believe people think I'm funnier. Follow up on GamesBeat question from the GamesBeat Podcatic Universe. Podcatic Universe.
I like it.
Pertinent to today's news is PlayStation Now working on Steam Deck. Jeff, I'll have to leave that one up to you. Is PlayStation Now working on Steam Deck? Is that even a thing you could do?
PlayStation Now has a PC app. I don't think it's working on. I don't think it works on Steam Deck. I remember someone saying that, but I'm not very interested in playing those games on the cloud anyhow. So I haven't looked myself.
Yeah, it's like the games I want to play the most are the Ratchet and Clank PlayStation 3 games, and I'll tell you what, I sure don't want to play a game that is half a shooter, half a 3D platformer with input lag.
Yeah, no way.
God. Beefhammer asks, did you boys know that a delayed game is eventually good, but a rush game is forever?
No, shut up. I don't want to hear it ever again.
No, that's great. Whoever said that must be a genius. Must be a master in his field. Lacia says, hey guys, hope your weekend was as good as mine was bad. Oh no, for context, my 1 year is cutting canines, has a head cold and an ear infection, is cutting canines. Did he cut a dog? Is that what that means?
I think it means that the canines are growing into a child's mouth, maybe.
I don't. Oh yes, the
canine
dog,
teeth.
The teeth. Okay,
Yes.
my one here is cutting canines. Oh no. Yeah. Okay, I got you. I don't. It's weird when you put it like that. It's weird that my
it
head
made
went
perfect
to.
sense to me as someone who's been through that. That's the first thing I thought of.
Yes.
So, but Mike, I get
No.
why it's weird to you.
Like, oh, so his child's cutting his dogs. His question is:
Who gave the children knives? Why are you doing this?
your kid has weird stuff all the time, and you're like, oh, the kid has scissors.
Yes.
The kid has a marker.
Man, she is. I mean, she's like Tommy Pickle, man. She finds it everywhere.
My question is: the Sony's PlayStation Plus overhaul more in response to Nintendo's expansion pack than Game Pass? With the timing and the strategy, it reminds me more of expansion than Game Pass. I don't think it's much of a response to Nintendo. It's maybe, I'm sure, like they're like, oh God, why did I even try to pronounce this word? Conscious. I was gonna say congenant or something of Game Pass, but that's not the right way to say it.
Fucked me up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know. But they're thinking of Game Pass probably more than
Cognizant?
Nintendo's expansion pack. But even still, this is mostly about finding an efficient way of simplifying their service offerings and making more money out of them. That's the real.
Yes. This is
motivation.
about. Oh, a lot of people subscribe to PS Plus, and a lot of those people don't subscribe to PS Now. What can we do to change that? Well, let's rebrand it, reword it.
Cognizant. Thank you, guys.
Cognizant. Yes. And let's see if we can get more money out of that same audience. It's not really going to be about growing the audience. The same people who already subscribe to PlayStation Plus are just going to end up spending more money. That's what this is about.
Wasp London says, hey yo boys, if Nintendo adds Game Boy and Game Boy Color games to Switch NSO/expansion pass later this year as rumored, what would you expect the next consoles to be added in 2023? So, wondering if they go left field to do something like a Game & Watch collection rather than the obvious Game Boy Advance GameCube route. I mean, they do Game Boy and Game Boy Color. I wonder if next could be Nintendo is so weird about GameCube. I just don't see it. I want it, but I don't see it. I think it'll be more likely to get. We could even get like Game Gear / Sega Master System games and Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance could happen.
Virtual Boy is going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? I wish GameCube. I mean, at someday it's going to happen for some console, but maybe not.
Nintendo is still too much and they're right. Game Boy Advance and GameCube are worth too much. They could sell those games individually and make a lot more money, and they are right.
I think we might get Game Boy Advance. We might finally get that.
Maybe.
But I don't know.
But
I mean, they've held off on a lot of Game Boy Advance games themselves. Like they
Yeah.
haven't done anything with the Fire Emblems, the Metroids, the WarioWare or the Wario Lands and all that stuff. WarioWare
you're right.
also. So who knows? GameCube stuff though is getting ported, like all their big ones. So that's a little trickier. Obama says, "Hello, Jeff Sports Clips, Grubb, and Mike Hanzo Trash Minotti." They were mad because I kept destroying them with my Hanzo, Jeff, because I'm very good at video games. You didn't hear me because you took off your headphones.
Sorry, I just showed people I did cut my hair last night, so yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell. That's exactly the same. I was wondering how you guys think third parties will handle the next iteration of the Switch. Will they get the majority of third-party titles and be a little bit more in the same market as the Series X and PlayStation 5? Or it will be mostly miracle ports and indies still? Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your week. I bet everybody is going to, like, experiment a bit, Jeff, with the next Switch. They'll either try to get something, like, from the recent past on there or something, like, a bit newer. Like, Ubisoft will be like, we're going to put, Far Cry 6 on the Switch or 2 and see how that goes. Stuff like that, and they'll see how that runs.
I think that it's probably going to have the benefit of the Series S and like PC hardware being supported for a long time, in that if you're going to have a game run at like 1080, like 30 to 60 on Series S with DLSS, you should probably be able to do that on the Switch no problem and get at least 30 frames per second, if not 60. And so I think a lot more games probably will end up on Switch, Switch 2. But yeah, there's still going to be some games that are like, this is not a good example because it's an Xbox game, but like Flight Simulator, even with DLSS, like it's going to be too CPU intensive for something like that to work. So there'll be examples of games that still just don't make sense for the hardware.
Like they're not going to release a new Call of Duty still, right?
Right. Yes. And a lot of it's going to come down to games that just don't make sense for that audience, right? If it's a family game, yes. If it's a big sort of broadly appealing RPG like the next Witcher game, yes. But if it's Call of Duty where it's like, this is for an online audience that's spending a lot of money on microtransactions, all this stuff, I don't know. I guess I could see Warzone ending up on a Switch.
Warzone, maybe. I bet they're gonna want to get Outer Ring on the Switch too, if it's possible at all.
If it's possible, yeah, you're right. I mean, that would be a very good Switch 2 launch game if Elden Ring was there.
Huh?
I mean, fucking.
Because a lot of people will double dip on that.
It was great on Steam Deck, Mike.
I could try a new build. Well, I know you play 150 hours of it on Steam Deck.
That's right. Yep.
All right, Jeff. That's it for the questions. Do you want to read some of these super chat questions now?
I do, or I'll do my best. Let's see here. I'm gonna start back here with people who got in even before we started, like Uriel Delgado. Mm-hmm. Is it safe to assume the PS1 to PSP games coming are the ones currently available for purchase on PS3/PS Vita? We're not getting anything new like PS2 like the PS2 version of Silent Hill 3. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that if they are already available in some form, that is what's going to end up. And a lot of that comes down to probably like licensing, right?
Yeah, but I mean, just from what I remember on the Vita anyways, and all the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation or PSP games, that was most
there was a lot
stuff.
Very good point, yes.
Everything I wanted was there. I forget about PlayStation 2. Like the big thing I want for PSP is like it's the Ridge Racer game and stuff like that, and like that'll probably be there. So that could be good enough. That's missing something like Silent Hill 3 is a little weird, but maybe they can work on that. I don't know. But we're not sure. We're not sure. We need to wait and see a little bit.
Yes. Uriel Delgado says, do you know if these games would be enhanced? It seems like there's no chance for that.
Yeah, no.
It's a bummer. But at least I would like to see like what PlayStation could come up with to match that. Like you don't have to enhance these games. They're still fun, but it would be nice to see. From Zelda Drummer. Banjo-Kazooie game, but instead it's Wario and Waluigi. Same gameplay applies. This would outsell Luigi's Mansion, right? I think about this way too much.
Luigi's Mansion. Nothing outsells Luigi's Mansion except for Elden Ring.
That's right.
I mean, when you say exactly, I literally imagine Waluigi in like Wario's backpack.
Yes, exactly.
Like that.
Yes, and Wario runs, and then when you need to like run up a hill, you flip around, and Waluigi's long, skinny legs stick out of the backpack, and he goes up the hill. Yeah,
actually,
it's perfect.
This will be the first 1 billion selling game. Actually, yeah.
Hey, and it brought world peace, which we all knew it would.
Yes, 1/7 of the world population will buy this game. Next one, Jeff.
Yes, yeah, Shubhankar Parajat. Does this mean Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD will come to Switch this year? I think both me and Mike are putting our flag in the ground that yes, that's
Yes.
going to happen this year.
I'll tell you what, I think it would be pretty shocking and upsetting if they didn't.
Agreed. I mean, beyond like me hearing that that's going to happen before, and it hasn't happened yet, but hearing that it's like something that they have in the works, like just thinking about it logically at a certain point, Nintendo ports all of the games from the Wii U, and these are Wii U remasters. Why, yeah, of course they're going to release them.
Why not?
From Radu, Pericle, Taganas. Sony wouldn't use the PAL ROMs for the European territories, right? They couldn't. They wouldn't. The backlash would be amazing, though.
I mean, they used the PAL ROMs for the US release of the PlayStation Classic for some of those games, so they could they could mess up that bad.
So that's why I'm like, you fucking donkeys. Like, what are
right?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. They probably know better at this point. But
yeah, I think they would learn that lesson. Well, who
Yes.
knows? Because some other people learn the wrong lessons, right? Like the lesson they may have learned was that, I guess people don't care about PlayStation 1. It's like how
Right.
Square Enix's lesson from Kingdom Hearts doing bad on Switch will probably not be that, wow, we shouldn't have made those cloud games. It's that, whoa, the Nintendo's audience doesn't like Kingdom Hearts, we guess.
Yes, right, exactly. Mobile Gaming Master Race. Apple Arcade is a service better than Spartacus, Nintendo Switch Online, and Game Pass. They need to learn from Apple how to make a worthwhile subscription service.
No.
Damn, Mobile Gaming Master Race coming in here with the hot takes. Jeez.
That's remind me, I need to make sure I'm not still paying for Apple Arcade. I'm worried.
Man, the console warring or mobile gaming warring is just out of hand.
Real.
Lucius Augustus. Most people don't get annual. Most people pay by month. Only the hardcore pay for 12 plus months or something at a time. Most people will pay monthly. I think this is absolutely true, but we're not on the show. We're not always talking to that broader audience. I think in general you're right, but if I say like, I only want to compare monthly to monthly, the people who are that hardcore are going to point out, well, I can buy annual with PlayStation and I can't do that with Xbox, and that's still true. And it's worth bringing up in the discussion. Although I think you're correct. From Michael Fahey, do you think the lack of PS3 emulation is down to technical issues or possibly Sony not wanting to pay Nvidia a licensing fee for their GPU tech? I don't know if they would. I mean, maybe they have to pay a licensing fee, but I think more likely they just don't want to put in the effort to build their own emulator and solve those technical problems. They already have a solution. And they know no one's happy with it, but it's a solution, and that's cheaper than doing something new.
Right. Like, it's down to technical issues, but it's not like they're insurmountable. They're,
It's
they're
just cost and time.
They run the costs, yeah.
Yep.
And sad, and we don't have to be understanding of that. Some people are like, well, because it's hard and it would be expensive. Like, well, okay, why? It's not like we're the ones who have to do it, or we're like like shareholders of that company. We should encourage them and criticize them when they don't.
Same with like the Kingdom Hearts cloud versions. Like, yeah, that was cheaper. I bet it was the wrong choice. And,
part of me wonders if like maybe we'll get to a point where like cloud gaming in some sense becomes like a dirty word, not to the extent of like NFTs or blockchains. When like gamers are going to start rolling their eyes at it so heavily that people are going to be afraid of that stuff.
Let's see, Jeremy G. Well, we were talking about like what is Beyond the Sky in the Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. He says Beyond the Sky to the lands between. That'd be cool if in Breath of the Wild 2 you could play Elden Ring. I would
play Elden Ring.
Play Elden Ring. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how in Day of the Tentacle you could play Maniac Mansion inside it, except a different game from a different franchise, not on that system.
Curry Douglas. Jeff, are you moving out of Colorado because of the cost of living or to be closer to Mike? I live in Kentucky and love to live out west, but money. Yeah, it's very expensive out here. We should have bought years ago, but we didn't make as much money years ago, but we still should have just bought years ago. Just over the last year, housing costs have gone up 19%. So it's like if we would have bought last year, we would have saw a 19% increase in our equity or whatever. And that would have been awesome, but we didn't do it. And now trying to buy a house that's big enough that is like equivalent to what we have now as we're renting without it being astronomical in price. It's just, it's not great. It's not good. Not a good option. We're not feeling too good about it. So
I had incredible Mikey luck. I bought my house like about 4.5 years ago. So
Right. Yeah. Now it's yes. That was exactly. If we would have done it any time in the last decade, we would have been good. But we just waited too long. Pasta Theory. Would you slap someone if they insulted your very breedable Pokemon waifu?
Wow.
We got to find a way to like just create a blocked word.
That's right. Look, guys, I
you're
know
very
before we did specify that
waifu.
the word is banned in general now, not just in reference to me. But thank you for your super chat.
Yes, and yes, I would absolutely.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Would using a Steam Deck as a main PC be feasible? Absolutely, as long as
Who wrote that? Who wrote that super chat? Jeff?
That's from M2IJ. Sorry, Mike. I am definitely like beginning to crash mentally. Yeah, I mean, it is a PC. It's a Linux-based PC. You can install Windows on it, but then you lose you lose a lot. It's much better with the Linux that Valve packs in with it. But you just go over to desktop mode. You get a dock. You set up a mouse and keyboard, and Valve's going to sell a dock here pretty soon too. So if you have a monitor with the mouse and keyboard and the dock set up ready to go, you just take the thing off like a switch, go play your games, and then when it's time to go do your taxes, you just go put it on the dock and you sit down, you open up TurboTax and go to town. And most things exist on the web. Most things are web apps, but it has a great like package manager Linux-based store called Discover built right in, which has everything you could pretty much will need. It absolutely could work, especially right now when I know components are starting to come down in price. But if you just like want one thing and you're willing to go through the hopes of setting up like that docked experience, I think it's for the price, you kind of can't beat it.
All right, Jeff, looks like that's it for the super chats for now. If you guys want to send in more, we will read those before we are done. But Jeff, now I have an incredibly important question for you.
Oh shit.
What is the
this is
best
easy.
Kirby game
Yeah.
ever? Yes, this one you think you actually have an answer for.
Yes, absolutely. The best Kirby game is Kirby's Dream Course. I love this game. I've played it, I don't know, 100 times. Where it's just like anytime I'm like, I can't think. I want to play a video game. I can't think of what I want to play. Kirby's Dream Course is always there for me. It is golf, but what with Kirby, where and it implements the Kirby powers really well. Where as you are taking out enemies on the golf course or whatever, you can sometimes gain their powers if they are like a powered up enemy, and then you could use that to like continue your shot. And a lot of times there are really clever ways of getting a hole in one if you like look around and you're like, okay, if I do this and this and this, maybe I can make that happen. And it's still like difficult, and it's got this weird isometric view, but with Super Nintendo, and you sort of just accept that as part of the stakes. Yeah, it's like exactly, it works for what it is. And then it's just, I don't know, it's really well made. It's a cool 2-player game, but it's also still really fun on your own because it's basically like a golf puzzle game. And
Yes.
and I really, really, really enjoy it.
And it is fun. It's like the puzzle could be just figuring out how to beat the course, but like every course has a hole-in-one solution to it.
Right,
And
exactly. Yes.
That's a really fun puzzle. So that's something we'll have to play against each other. That'll be a good time. Yeah, I just played through that myself recently on literally like days before Forgotten Land came out. I just wanted to play something Kirby, so I played through all of Dream Course, and it is still just fantastic. It's
Yes, it
super
is.
fun. It is super creative.
And it's on Switch, so go play it. Go play it, everybody.
Yep.
And it's got the online mode, so if you want to play it with your friend,
That's right.
go do it.
Mine is Kirby Superstar, which I feel like is probably the most popular answer, really, if you ask like the Kirby diehards. But I think it's the right one. This was the first like Super Nintendo one, and it was the first one had 2-player co-op, which was really fun with my brother, especially me and Chris played this a ton. It has like all the different game modes, so it's instead of like one long campaign, it's like a bunch of smaller campaigns, although some of them still feel pretty fully featured, and they each have like a different twist. Like some of it's like different the way you get your power ups or you use them. Like the one mode, like Revenge of Meta Knight, is just a bit more cinematic and a bit more like boss rushy. The one's almost more of just like a remake of the original Kirby. There's the one that's like the Metroidvania style thing. It's just fantastic. The bits of variety there. It's also the first one where Like a copy ability wasn't just one move. Like, oh, you copied beam, so you do that thing where you just shoot out that beam and that kind of fanning thing. It's like, oh, you have that, and if you dash, you do this whirlwind. If you like jump and dash and attack, you shoot down falling stars. You can also charge it and shoot. Like you're unlocking move sets, not just a move, and it made it all so much more satisfying. It felt more like a straight up like action platformer in a lot of really fun ways. I love Kirby Superstar. It's fantastic. I've played it a zillion times, and it's always a lot of fun. Now, let's see what the community thinks here. Alex says Squeak Squad. It's the only one I've played until Friday, but it's pretty good. Yeah, Squeak Squad is pretty good. It's maybe bordering on being a little bland. It's a little mid, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's fine. It's not insultingly simple like Star Allies is. There's nothing super interesting or clever about it. It's like
it does have the Dark Souls of game names. Squeak Squad. It's like hard to say. Squad. Like back to back, like two like squid squad words. Yeah.
Right. VJ Incoming says the answer is clearly Planet Robobot because they gave Kirby a mech, and literally every gaming IP in history would be better with a mech. Think of a game that would be worse with a mech. You can't. It's impossible. Yeah, that's a good point there. I like both of the 3DS games a lot, actually. I thought that they were the best Kirby games we had gotten in a very long time at that point. Actually, this might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I think I like Triple Deluxe more than Planet Robobot, even though it didn't have the mechs.
I think there's some back and forth on that, but I mean, Robobot, people seem to be very high on Robobot.
Right. I don't know what it was, but I just remember I was like, I think it was because I was so surprised with Triple Deluxe, because Kirby had kind of been a little bland for a while there, and then Triple Deluxe was just it really surprised me with how much fun that one was. It actually implemented the 3D stuff really well, even though it was a 2D game. It did some neat stuff with that. So both of those though are very good. Grande Basketball says Kirby 64. You get a lightsaber. What more do you want? Jeff, at that time I was very disappointed by Kirby 64 because I expected them to make a 3D Kirby game.
Yeah,
and I wanted one for a very long time until we finally just got one now. And it's also, it's a 2D Nintendo 64 game, so it just looks worse than the Super Nintendo games.
Yes, it does. Yep.
Even Kirby's Dream Land 3 on the Super Nintendo, which overall isn't as good a game as Superstar, it has a really neat kind of pastel art style to it that holds up really well. This is just Nintendo 64 graphics Kirby game in 2D. But it does have the interesting, like, you can combine the power-ups mechanic. We haven't really seen that in too many other games. I think Squeak Squad may have brought in the back, actually. So that's nice, but no, not my favorite one. Flank the Tank Sinatra Bob says, all of the people that answered before me spelled Kirby's Dream Course wrong. It's still one of the best golfing games ever made. Yes. Jeff, you think they'll ever make a new one?
No.
It could be pretty... No, they never will, but it would be sweet, huh?
It'd be so good. I mean... it really just comes down to them probably like having the resources. I bet they're like, that is a good idea, but we'd probably get more if we do this other thing. And they're probably right. But if they could just find this is where they need to like just bring in an indie team. Let an indie team come in, make a stylized Kirby's Dream Course 2 with pretty much the exact same gameplay. Maybe like add a little bit more complexity and stuff. Make it actually 3D so it's a little bit easier to see, but still stylized again. Yeah, it would be fantastic. I would love that. But I'm happy to just... Kirby's Dream Course is kind of perfect. I'm happy to just keep going back to it, honestly.
Visualizer says Kirby's Dream Course. It's Kirby Mini Golf. What else do you need me to say? Kirby's Dream Course seems to by far be the most popular answer among the spin-offs so far. Pablo Cost says Kirby Triple Deluxe. Hey, nice Pablo. It was the first Kirby game I played, and I really enjoyed it. A bit on the easier side, but it was a fun ride while it lasted. Yeah, I agree. Turbo Soysuke says, this is such an easy answer. It's literally Kirby Air Ride. The magnificent gameplay Nintendo was able to do with that game is incredible. Truly ahead of its time. The multiplayer is also just top-notch. I never played this one until that GameCube anniversary stream I did a few months ago, and I did really enjoy it. I really missed out not getting this back in the day. It's good stuff. Winnie says Smash Ultimate is the best Kirby game I've played, and also the only. I mean, you do start as Kirby in that mode.
I mean, it is a Kirby story, so yeah.
That opening cinematic is great, where it's like everyone's getting destroyed and Kirby's the only one escaping. The best is like the audience reaction video of that when like they first showed it. You see Kirby escaping. It's good stuff. Kirby's just a fantastic character, man. Pinball Jr. says Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Nintendo got tilt controls right on their first try 6 years before the Wii. There's a cartridge I want to track down and get going on the Analog Pocket. That would be fun. Velocity Prime 1 says, funnily enough, I'll be the first person here to say Kirby Superstar. Second, actually. But cracks the formula open with the multiple games, introduced many of the finest powers. Yo-Yo, anyone? Yeah, Yo-Yo ruled. That was Chris's favorite, actually. I would always have to find a Yo-Yo guy to eat and turn into the co-op partner for Chris to be. And it has a full Metroidvania thrown in for good measure. Yeah, Kirby Superstar rules. Turbo Madden says, the best Kirby game is Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland on Game Boy Advance. Basically, it's a prettier and better version of Kirby's Adventure from the NES. The power-ups are plentiful and pack a nice oomph when they hit. The levels were great and had banger music. There were even all sorts of fun side content from Kirby's Air Grind, where a bunch of Kirby's race on grind rails, to Meta Nightmare, where you can play the whole game as Meta Knight, but with no saves. I've talked a lot, actually, about how I like Kirby's Adventure from the NES, but yeah, this Game Boy Advance remake is also very good. Beefhammer says, fine, I'll say it. It's Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. Adore the art style they went with and the claymation cutscenes they use. It's basically a successor to Canvas Curse. Since I never got to play that one, this felt fresh and fun to me.
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
It is one of the games people ignore when they ask for Switch port, which is probably due to the heavy touchpad use, but I hope it doesn't become stuck on that forgotten land. Pun intended. Yeah, I think me and you are thinking the same thing, Jeff. I loved Canvas Curse, and for some reason, Rainbow Curse just did not hit the same way. I was really excited for it, and something felt off about it.
And I'm guessing one of the reasons that we're not getting more Canvas Curses as an answer is many people haven't played it. If you get a chance, go play Canvas Curse. It is fantastic.
I mean, that was the game that I almost, maybe saying that it saved the DS is hyperbolic, but
it justified a lot of it to me. I'm like, okay, they can do fun, interesting stuff with this, and it's like a slow-paced touch platformer that worked, and it was fun.
Yeah, super fun. Revan just says Dreamland. You know, there is something about that first Kirby's Dreamland that even in Forgotten Land, there are sometimes I almost wish it was like there's a level where you didn't use copy abilities and you did just have to get by sucking enemies up and spitting it out at people, right? Like that is still a fun gameplay mechanic.
When I get by.
And in most Kirby games, you don't actually do that because, of course, you just suck up like an enemy and use their power until you see a different power that you want. Wildfire Alex says, all right, I'm probably going to annoy some people with this one, but my all-time favorite Kirby game is not Kirby Superstar, but it's Kirby Superstar Ultra on the DS. A vastly improved port of the SNES Classic. This handheld iteration takes everything from the original and adds a ton of content and makes playing through it that much more satisfying while adding a huge amount of replayability. You even get to play through the levels as Meta Knight, and that's freaking badass. Sure, some people prefer the OG, but for me, this is the definitive Kirby experience. Yeah, I can't exactly remember what the differences were. I know I played Superstar Ultra and also enjoyed it. I'm not sure. I do know some people like the OG, and I'm not sure why. There must be a reason. I have to look into the differences between the two. I imagine they're both very good.
Yes, I bet.
Casual says, one of my favorite childhood memories is hoping that it would be overcast sometime during the summer break, as this meant that I was permitted to play games at my friend's house. We spent many hours playing through NES classics like Mario 3, The Flintstones, and Kirby's Adventure. I know the Flintstones game is actually good, but it's still funny to just see that sandwich between the two.
Yeah.
While the gameplay didn't stay with me the way Mario did, the graphics and the soundtrack stuck and still makes me smile. Yeah, Kirby's Adventure rules. It's good stuff. Jump Matt says, Kirby's Dreamland. My controversial opinion is that while the copy ability is fun, the gameplay was more satisfying without it. Yeah, like I hear you. I would be down for another Kirby game that didn't do the copy mechanic. I don't think they would ever do it now. It's like it's too much of a thing. But it's all the more reason why going back to the original is still fun. And most people don't know the original has a hard mode that you unlock after beating it, or you can just access with the code, and it actually is like a decent challenge. So it's worth replaying the original if you haven't, just to try that. Rumham says Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. It's actually difficult, has a lot of cool secrets and Metroidvania elements. It's super underrated as well. I don't really know anyone else who's played it, and it looks like no one else has mentioned it. Everyone, go play it. This is one I haven't beaten yet. For some reason, I always get confused about something. It has this weird mechanic where there's 4 Kirbys, and they're kind of all going off and doing their own thing. You can switch between them, or you can call them over to you, and I never quite grokked it for some reason. Kind of embarrassing to say, like, this Kirby game confused me. something about it confused me, so I need to go back to it at some point and figure it all out. And then Goldie says it's Kirby Pinball Land. I would also like to give it the award for best pinball video game. Screw off 3D Pinball Space Cadet. I also like Kirby's Pinball Land a lot. I think it's my favorite pinball video game, and there's some good ones, but this was first one I
Flipnik is
played.
my favorite pinball video game. It's the PS2 one that no one's gonna remember, but yes, Kirby's Pinball Land is also good. It's definitely better than like all of the like even like Sonic Spinball. I actually like. I like the Metroid
Yes.
Prime.
Metroid Prime is very good.
It's very
Mario,
good, yes.
Mario Pinball Land was kind of meh.
No, not very good,
The
yes.
Pokemon ones are good. I think the top ones are the Pokemon one, Metroid one, and Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Sonic Spinball more than it deserves because
Same.
it's a pretty wonky game, but
Mhm.
I kind of like its ugliness. Like all the levels like are in gross places, and I
Mhm.
like that about it. It like runs at an ugly frame rate, and Sonic looks kind of off, and there's slime everywhere,
Yeah,
and
it's
the
like
music.
17 frames per
Yeah.
second or something.
Yes, it has like that Genesis fart music. Like
Yes.
it's kind of a disgusting game, and I'm into it.
Yeah. Jesus.
Betch Turbo JC says the best Kirby game was Return to Dreamland on the Wii. I remember having a friend and his brothers over, and we would all play. Let's just say a Wii remote slipped from my hands into someone else's head. Oh no. This is another one I haven't quite played a ton of, and it was basically a predecessor to the 3DS good ones. I think like this is the engine that all the Kirby games used, including Star Allies, until we got this new one. And it was also one that's like, oh, 4-player co-op is a thing here, so before Star Allies did it. So at some point I need to check out more of this one. Turbo Gigi 64 says that does the Subspace Emissary from Super Smash Bros. Brawl count as a Kirby game? No. Okay, if I'm being honest, I think Kirby's Dream Land 2 for the Game Boy is not only one of the best Game Boy games, it's one of the best Kirby games out there. I was wondering if we get any Dreamland 2 or Dreamland 3
Yeah.
love. I like those animal buddies. They're nice.
know.
I like the owl.
Mm-hmm. The little hamster guy on the cover always enticed
Yes.
me, and I didn't play it until recently, but I'm like, man, that hamster looks cool.
Dugan says Kirby 64 had the right feel to it, and by that I mean the pink blob felt at home on that low poly, floaty but squishy platformer. Soundtrack slaps. Oh, the Kirby games usually have good soundtracks, pretty much always. Even Forgotten Land has a pretty good soundtrack. Gerbear says, I'm surprised it hasn't been said already, so I'll take the opportunity to stand for Canvas Curse.
There it
It's
is,
talked
yeah.
about a lot as one of the games that made the great use of the DS touchscreen, but one thing that doesn't get mentioned a lot is the penultimate level. I love the word penultimate.
Me too.
Compared to the rest of the games, Color Overload, that level has a muted palette and almost non-existent backing track. It is borderline unsettling compared to the rest of the game. It does a fantastic job of letting you know that major happenings are about to go down in the final boss fight. This is making me want to play Canvas Curse.
Me
again.
too. Mike, where did you learn the word penultimate?
Where did I learn the word penultimate? I'm not sure. Why did you learn it from something specifically geeky?
Yeah.
And you think it's the same?
Yeah, well, ain't it cool news? Whenever they would talk about television seasons, they would always use penultimate and for the before the ultimate episode, and then the penultimate for the one before that. So it's like, okay, and they would use it every time. So I'm like, okay, that just
probably
became part of
can.
lexicon.
Remember when we just all went to Ain't It Cool
Ain't it
News
cool?
every
Yep.
day?
Yeah, and what
Man.
else was there? Nothing back
Man,
then.
nothing.
Yep.
Ron Robo Joe says Kirby Superstar is excellent. I love Dreamland and I've played many other Kirby games, but Superstar had a really cool, fun structure. It was exciting and super fun to play co-op as well. Yeah, the co-op in that game ruled. Like Dreamland 3 also had co-op that was pretty good with that slime guy. I forget his name was Goober, something slimy. I forget. He was cool, but I liked just making the copy buddies in Superstar. Nintendo Bro says, I will admit I haven't played nearly enough Kirby games to have a valid opinion, but I am really enjoying the Forgotten Land. I've only cleared the first 3 areas so far, but everything has been great. The music, level design, gameplay, all of it has contributed to making the Forgotten Land my favorite Kirby game.
Good music in that game.
Oh yeah. The Longest Spirit says Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. There's more Kirby 64 love than I would have expected, Jeff. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just down on it. I'm kind of down on Nintendo 64 in general. I think I got mad. MVG is always making tweets about how Nintendo 64 is better than the GameCube, and then I get really mad. And I out in my chair for a while and think about tweeting something, and then I just tweet boo and move on.
Yep.
The Longest Spirit says Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. It's been a long time getting from there to here. Excuse me, I just started singing the Star Trek Enterprise
did.
theme song. It's been a long time. I almost want to do it again. But my time is finally here.
On a loop, everybody.
It's been a it's been a long time, but as I remember it, the controls just felt right. It felt good to play, which was kind of a standout on the Nintendo 64. Might be my nostalgia talking, but I definitely have the best memories of playing Kirby 64. Here's my problem. So usually, like a lot of games were just the name is 64 on Nintendo 64. Usually that symbolized some kind of like big deal, like Mario 64, Star Fox. There was something like Kirby 64. It was not ambitious. It was just a 2D Kirby. They should have maybe just called it Kirby the Crystal Shards. Kirby and the Crystal Shards. I don't know. That's probably being pretty pedantic.
I get what you mean, though, especially back then, because we had expectations. Now it's pedantic, or whatever the word should be, but yes,
It wasn't even like an early Nintendo 64 game either. It was like a little later.
Yes, right. Yeah, exactly. So it's like you had time to like build up expectations. And I think there was always like talk of a Kirby 3D game, so then you get this, and it was like... yeah, disappointing.
Right, yeah. Well, there's apparently, but they tried to crack that for a while. There was a GameCube one that almost happened and then didn't, and we just only now finally got one. Jake Bogdanoff says, Kirby Star Stacker was a classic for me. Swapped back and forth between that and Tetris when I got my Game Boy Pocket, but really, it's Nightmare in Dreamland. Graphics are awesome, and that soundtrack is banging, and its difficulty is perfect. I also totally asked at platformers, and I was able to beat it. Nice. Yeah, that's another one for the Kirby's Adventure remake. I remember not being kind of confused when I first got this game, not realizing it was a Kirby's Adventure remake, but also not being upset once I got it and it was, because I liked that game a lot.
I wish Nintendo had a way of just like not having to go into the Super Nintendo, not having to go to the NES, sort of Nintendo Switch Online stuff. I wish I could just be like, okay, show me all of the Kirby games that are available. Yes. I wish I just a better ways to sort that stuff, and I would like to start going through them one by one, but whatever.
I was going through some stuff in my basement yesterday, and I have that Kirby compilation they made on the Wii that has a lot of the old games. I'm going to like dig that out.
Yeah, I should just get that for Dolphin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right. Haas Blended says, obviously the game I was most proud of beating as a very young child, Kirby's Dream Land. In later years, I would boast about my gaming prowess with the OG Game Boy, only to literally find out last month just how short, easy, and not an achievement this was. I'm still proud of you, Haas.
I'm still proud of you too, but they literally made that game to be like, what if this was someone's first game? Like that's like the going marching orders for designing that entire thing. So that's very funny, but I like that story a whole bunch.
Lossian says Kirby's Dream Course is best Kirby game, and then Obama says Kirby's Dream Course is mine. I found it on NSO and immediately loved it. I felt like it was the first video game to make the general concept of golf fun.
Pretty sure I'm the winner. Pretty sure there were more Dream Courses than anything else, so I won today.
I think that's how that works. Yeah, there's a lot of Dream Courses. There's a few Superstar Ultra, some not really Kirby's Adventure. Most people said the remake for Game Boy Advance. There was more love for 64 than I would have expected.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, I think the unloved ones were Kirby's Dream Land 3 didn't get much love here. No love for Kirby's Avalanche. No Puyo Puyo fans here.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a good game. But, like, if you're into that, like, you're probably thinking Tetris Attack or Pokemon Puzzle League.
Well, that's not Puyo. That's right.
What is that?
That's I forget what those games are called.
Yeah, what are those games called?
I think it's Puzzle League actually, or something like that. But no, this is Puyo Puyo or Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
That's the way. That's right. Yes.
I remember as a very stupid kid, I got furious that Nintendo just copied Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
I thought the same thing. Yes, and then I'm like, eventually I got read in a magazine. They're like, this is a Japanese series called Puyo Puyo. I'm like, okay, this makes sense now.
Yes, it took me a while to figure that one out. But yeah, a lot of really varied answers on that one, so that was fun. Next week's topic is going to be some people are like, oh, Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be a launch game for the Switch 2. I've been saying lately how I think the next Mario game is going to be a launch game for the Switch 2. What launch game do you most want to see for the Switch 2?
Okay, good.
So that'll be a fun one. So
Elden Ring. I already said it.
Elden Ring could be a launch game. That'll be fun. All right, Jeff. Before we talk about our impressions of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, do you want to read some super chats that have come in?
I do indeed. Let me see here. From Kindle Fire 22. Yes. All right. Now that Sony and Xbox both have premium subscriptions, which do you think will be more attractive to third-party publishers? I mean, whoever's going to pay them the most money. So
Yeah.
probably Xbox, but Sony's going to drop a lot of money. If you are...
I mean, some of them are going to want to make both people happy here, and they're going to try to
Yes.
get things on both things. But it will be interesting to see if like exclusivity on these services becomes bigger deal in these contracts and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it'd be I think there's going to be some like indie games or games that like are in that Rocket League, Fall Guys like zone where they're like, it's more important to be on PlayStation because PlayStation's bigger, it'll reach more people, and we've seen that pop work really well in the past for these games where they can then like carry that momentum onto Steam and then have huge success on Steam selling the game. So yeah, it's gonna kind of depend on like where you're coming from. But if it's just about getting that money, it's probably gonna be leaning a little bit towards Xbox, but I don't think in any super detrimental way to Sony in any way. Let's see here. Fluffy Cloud Entertainment. Kirby Superstar is my favorite, but shout out to Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. I just liked Kirby as a Metroidvania. Understandable.
Yeah, that's the one. I really need to go and like play Kirby and the Amazing Mirror again, beat it, do that whole thing.
Finally, Joe Ranieri says, Shadow Warrior 3 came out day one on PS Now. Will we eventually start getting third-party day one like on Game Pass? What does spring mean for Breath of the Wild? May? So for your first question, yeah, I mean, we'll definitely see some stuff like that. Probably won't be as aggressive as Game Pass, but it'll definitely be trying to mimic that whole idea, I think, with third parties. And then what does spring mean? I don't know. To me, that means like March or April, but I suppose it probably does mean like May. It probably does mean May, doesn't it?
You know, if you're really excited for this and like you're worried about getting your hopes up or anything, just assume May. And then if
Yeah,
it's
that's
earlier
true.
than that, nice surprise.
Exactly. Last one was March 3rd, so that's why I'm getting my hopes up. But I'm a stupid man who will get his hopes up and get his heart broken. And oh well.
Yeah, I mean, it could just come out on the anniversary like of first Breath of the Wild. Why not?
Yeah, celebrate the 6th anniversary. It's a very important one.
Very important number.
That's when you get
The
your wife a
most
sequel. So
Yes.
it's the sequel anniversary. So yeah.
That's right. All right, Jeff. We've been playing Kirby in the Forgotten Land.
Yes.
I am pretty happy.
I was like, I started playing it. My kids really wanted to play it because first of all, Addie's like, that's a meep. Like she remembered me asking her about it. So she wanted to play, but then Emmy wanted to play really bad. So they kind of like took the controller from me, but like, I was like kind of enjoying watching them play. But when I got a chance to like actually get my hands on it and play some of it, I'm like, man, this is just, it's pleasant and most importantly, not in any way boring. It's not boring. And that's such a hard thing for Nintendo to navigate with these games where they're like, we want to make this a pleasant sort of family experience where it is slow paced, and it is, but there's so much interesting stuff happening and the music's so good and it looks so great and you want to see the next place that all of it's working in its favor to keeping the momentum going. And I think they nailed it.
You know, one game nobody brought up as their favorite Kirby game was Kirby Star Allies, the last game that came out on Switch.
Yes.
You know what? It was just boring. We all get it. Kirby games are going to be easier than a lot of other games, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be boring or forgettable. And this does so many things to just keep things interesting, even if it all is ultimately, easy. It's not quite as brain dead as Star Allies is. But because, you do have, like, aesthetically it's pleasant. It's not just another Dreamland visual thing going on. You have this kind of, this sort of cute post-apocalyptic world, which is a really interesting spin. Really interesting thing to do. Yeah, the music is fantastic. But there are so many just fun little moments sprinkled throughout, like a fun puzzle here. I forget what they're called now, when you suck up something really big. The mouthful modes, those are great. Especially when the car, like that feels really fun. Those are fantastic. Whenever I see a mouthful mode moment come up, I get excited and I'm happy because I know something interesting is going to happen. And it is still like, it's fun how each level has its own mini achievements, and it's like, oh yeah, I can get all the Waddle Dees, or I can just go through here. The boss fights are, they're not super brain dead. Those are actually pretty interesting and slightly cinematic even. Those are great. I've been enjoying. Yeah. I've been wanting a 3D Kirby game forever, and they did it, and it does just feel like a 3D Kirby game. Everything translated very well over, and I think they did a good job with some of the things they did change. Like they nerfed Kirby's flying ability, basically, right? Like you can't just fly forever. You can't gain extra or much extra height off of it, so you can't just fly to places where you want to go to. You go slower when you're on it. that makes sense. There's not as many copy abilities as in some of the other Kirby games. Again, makes a bit sense to, especially this first try here, like limit those options a bit so you can make levels
it
around
down,
them.
narrow it down so that it's like make the things that are there very good, and they did that.
Yeah, but you do get to like upgrade them, which is a fun thing there. And like going back to the Waddle Dee town is all pleasant. But yeah, it's just super cute and it's fun. Yeah, it's not boring and it is in fact very fun.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'm excited to get through it. I also started Tunic on the Steam Deck, so it's like I've been like, oh, okay,
Cute Overload.
Yes, Cute Overload and Tunic is very good, Mike.
Yeah,
like it's very good.
I'm getting pretty close to beating Elden Ring. I think I'm getting
That's what
to
I did.
the end of the Haug tree, so I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to beat this one secret dragon boss, and then just going to go to the end.
Yeah, so I beat Elden Ring and started up Tunic. But it's like, okay, I am gonna like maybe slow down on just like burning through Tunic, although it's very good and I kind of want to. And I'm gonna go back and play like a ton more Kirby and just kind of get through that, I think. To me, this is like a completely viable new series within Kirby for Nintendo, where they should probably get to work on the second one of these right away.
I started thinking about that too. Like as good as this is, that does almost feel like a very good just foundation for doing even more interesting and exciting with this kind of 3D formula that they finally established after all these years. I mean, if anything hurts like this game, it is just the fact that we've had something like Mario Odyssey on the Switch. Right. And this isn't that. There are even little moments where it's like, oh, you think you can go to a place and you can't. All these little things. Now, like Mario Odyssey to me is maybe the best video game made in the last 10 years, so it's not super fair, but that is the bar Nintendo has set themselves for 3D platformers on system. But it doesn't mean that like they should just throw their hands up in. Like for so long, well, Mario's our only 3D platformer series.
Right.
I like seeing them release a 3D platformer that, yeah, it's not that level. It's one level below that, and that is still a lot of fun and interesting and worth making and worth playing.
There's like areas to explore within that tier, where it's like, it doesn't have to be Mario, so it's its own thing, but what can we do in this thing? And they have begun to sort of unravel that, but there clearly is still more potential, and I think that they will be able to really capitalize that on that in a sequel, although this game is totally rewarding on its own.
And they struggled with that before the 3D platformers, where like that tier would produce stuff like Wario World, which nobody seemed to care about, or like things like that would... Or they would have to try really hard, like with a Donkey Kong 64. Like maybe they tried too hard to make it like basically just a Mario platformer.
That is a try-hard video game.
It's a very try-hard video game, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is very competent, but it's not too try-hard. It's excelling very well. It seems like it might be short, which kind of also standard for Kirby games, anyways. And is also maybe fine for a Kirby game. Maybe I don't need a Kirby game to go for 10 hours, so I don't know if that's going to really bother me. But even so, it'll be fun to go back and get all the Waddle Dees and all of that stuff.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right.
Super chat from Don Otaku right now.
Yes, we got a couple super chats. I'll get in there. Let's see. First one's from Supernova. Is delaying Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 a sign of making it a launch game with the Switch 2? The life of the Switch, I think, has technically expired.
Technically, it's midlife according to Nintendo.
Yes. Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yes. Listen, I think that it's not a sign of it being a launch game for the Switch 2. If the Switch 2 launched in spring of 2023, I would be very surprised. And I don't think they would have announced the Zelda delay like this if Switch 2 was coming up like that. They probably would have paired those things up in some way. Now, they probably don't want to, they wanted to get this out of the way, so maybe not. But for the most part, I just, the way that they did this does not ring to me with the idea that a Switch 2 is imminent around the same time as this. But yeah, I mean, the Switch 2's got to come out eventually, but I still think early 2024 is the more likely time frame. Don Otaku, my only small gripe with Forgotten Land is the fact that you have far less moves with each ability compared to Superstar in the last few releases.
Yeah, and that was kind of going back to what I loved about Kirby Superstar so much, was like you had those move sets. You still have that a bit here, but it's not quite as crazy. It's like again, like the beam ability in Kirby Superstar, that gave you access to like 5 different moves, whereas here each thing maybe has a few different uses and utilities. Yeah. So maybe something they can expand on a bit more next time. I was also kind of sad that the beam ability just wasn't in this one too, because that is my favorite.
T-Bucket23 reminded me of a thing that the Wario World's best thing is Charles Martinet's crazy voice acting, and I wanted to go in there and get a bunch of voice clips to use for this show. So I'm gonna go play that game and just have the recorder ready to go.
Where is the intro from exactly? Was that from some commercial or something?
That is from WarioWare Gold's opening.
Okay.
The intro movie that is in the 3DS WarioWare Gold. So yeah,
That makes sense.
Yes, it's very good.
All right, Jeff.
Yeah, Mike, are we wrapping it up? Are we? Should I hit the button?
Yeah, it looks like we did it. We talked about all the
got through
Nintendo
it.
stuff for a week. We did it. Yeah, Jeff can go back to being sick. Thank you for listening, everybody. You can find more of us at GamesBeat.com. We'll be back on Friday with GamesBeat Decides. You can find me on Twitter at Tokoto. And check out 90s Disney, my 90s Disney podcast at 90sdisney.com. Our Disneyland Paris episode will be going up on the 1st of the month because that park is celebrating its 30th anniversary. Not as important as the 6th anniversary, Jeff, but pretty important.
Of course not. Of course not. I am Jeff Grubb on Twitter. You can get me there. Coming on our Discord, discord.gg/GameMess. There's a way to support this show, and to, if you want to ask the questions that we were answering earlier, go to patreon.com/GameMess. Get in there. Gets you into the secret channels inside the Discord. Come hang out with us. We do game nights all the time. It's a really good time. I don't know. We need a 4th for Mario Party, so maybe you'll be the lucky one to win that golden ticket. Bye, everybody.
Wow. Bye.